And Shubhendu Ghosh, our correspondent, is now joining us from Ground Zero from New York, where all the excitement is, and the build-up has just begun. This is going to reach a crescendo very soon. Shubhendu, remember 2014 Madison Square Garden? That's where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a sense, launched that Diaspora Connect that has become so symbolic of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's foreign policy and diplomacy. Just what do the Indian Americans think about him as a leader, Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a leader? Do they feel that sense of patriotism when you spoke to them?
A few facts that I want to share with you today. There are 13,000...
Absolutely. Hello, Munmun and Sakal. It is remarkable. The reference to Madison Square is coming up so often. It was 10 years ago. And the excitement and this need to connect with the Prime Minister, be in his company, being very proud of his achievements and where India stands today. That connection continues to thrive. 10 years down the line, nothing has changed. In fact, the energy, the anticipation has only grown from strength to strength. Speaks volumes about many things. One, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and the manner in which he has been able to steer India through very challenging geopolitics, which sort of brings attention to the kind of power that India represents today. It also puts attention on the Indian Americans, the diaspora, the manner in which not only have they thrived in a foreign land, created a name for themselves, but the kind of connect that they feel towards their motherland, to the idea of Indianness. Prime Minister Diamond again says that these Indian Americans, Indian students, whatever work that you do on a foreign land, you act as an ambassador of all that is Indian, whether it's value, culture, tradition, or the idea of democracy for that matter. Right. So there's so many values which are common between India and America, and Indian American diaspora in the most dynamic fashion represent the best of both the worlds.
You know, as you speak, Shubhendu, we're also going to just do a quick recap of those mega events, the diaspora events, which were hosted by the diaspora community in United States of America during the previous visits of Prime Minister Modi. Meanwhile, well, if you look at the numbers, I mean, they look fabulous. There are about at least 4.4 million Indian Americans or Indian origin people reside in US. I'm sure you know that. And persons of Indian origin, 3.18 million at least. They constitute the third largest Asian ethnic group in US. So not only being the movers and the shakers when it comes to the professional circuits there, but otherwise also, this is an election season. We are not going to talk about politics, but Indian diaspora really matters when it comes to their politics and other scheme of things, that's important. So just give us a feel, besides the Indian diaspora connect and the way they're looking forward to this event, which I'm sure will move from strength to strength, as you rightly put it, what about the other part? How do they look at this particular visit of Prime Minister Modi to US?
Absolutely. It's a hugely significant visit, Sakal. I mean, if we broadly take a macro view on Prime Minister's visit, there are various bilateral, plurilateral and multilateral engagements. Day one, we saw the very significant Quad summit and the kind of outcomes that came out. It really writes a new chapter of cooperation and development partnership between the Quad countries, not just for themselves, but for the entire region of the Indo-Pacific. Today, of course, we are at this mega diaspora event. In a short while from now, Prime Minister would be here engaging with thousands of Indian Americans who've come from all parts of America to listen to him, to meet him. Later today, Prime Minister engages with the corporate leaders. There is a CEO roundtable, how to bring in the best of the private sector of India and America, make them work together, encourage investment from one another in each other's country. That is going to be the focus, particularly in the domain of critical technologies. Neither India nor America want to be left behind, because these technologies are going to, in many ways, define the future ahead, and also sustainable development vision that these countries envision also would depend on harnessing these technologies in a sustainable manner. Thereafter, day 3 is going to be focusing on Prime Minister's speech at the United Nations. That would be Summit of the Future. Very, very significant. for all the crises that the international community faces today, whether it's about sustainable development goals not being met, the country is not going on the right track as far as achieving the targets of 2030 are concerned, whether we see the deadly impact of climate change all around us, wherever in the world we may be, or the conflicts like the Ukraine or the Gaza conflict showing no signs of ceasefire or a peaceful resolution. These are really difficult, bad signs for the global community and its future. It is time, therefore, for the international community to do some sort of a course correction, reflect on it, see the adverse impact that all these developments have on the global south. So in that sense, Prime Minister's speech assumes even greater significance at the United Nations. So broadly, engagements of Prime Minister in this visit of the US. Sakal?
Yeah, India's role as a peacemaker. We're going to talk about that as well. But quickly, once more, run us through, Munmun, we would like to know from Shubhendu, what would make this diaspora event a little different? I'm sure it's going to be cut above the rest because the kind of reports that you've been sending us, give us a sense what all is expected.
Yes. This diaspora event is going to be very, very special. This is what the organizers say. And in fact, one of the remarkable things that we spoke about earlier was that it's been 10 years since the very first mega diaspora event India and the world saw what a diaspora event could look like. And we saw that in Madison Square. So many years down the line, this craze, this need to connect with the Prime Minister, this passion in the Indian Americans, Indians living abroad, has not changed at all. And I think that passion, that energy, the credit to it goes to the emotional bond that Prime Minister has been able to forge with the Indian diaspora. So time really is not a factor in that case. Wherever Prime Minister goes, not just about America, earlier he was in Singapore, in other countries as well, everywhere we see a similar kind of energy. As far as this event is concerned, the application for Indian diaspora members to participate in it was over 20,000 applications that come in. But unfortunately, the stadium had a capacity of only 15,000, not enough, therefore, to accommodate all the Indian Americans who wanted to come here. So it's going to be a packed stadium inside. There are some 500 artists who've gathered here. They're performing outside. When the queues were long, they were performing outside. Now there are performances that are lined up inside, which will go on till Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives at the stage. Different languages, different cultures, a mini India is created. In that sense, the manner in which India is coming of age on the global stage, we see the remarkable celebration of Indianness here at the heart of United States. And the American people, they've also been very curious, and they quite admire the manner in which Prime Minister is able to connect with the Indian diaspora. They've not seen anything like this anywhere in the world. So in that sense, a very, very special moment for everyone, for the diaspora, for, of course, Prime Minister, and also Americans here who are looking at this event with great enthusiasm and curiosity.
Yes.
Shubhendu, just stay with us. We have our guests also joining us live from Geneva. But just at one point before I give it to you, I don't remember any other world leader, Shubhendu, to you as well, who seems to have drawn such a steady flow of attention on a foreign soil.
No, absolutely. The kind of love and adulation that is showered on him by the Indian community, and the way other world leaders wonder. I remember Anthony Albanese some time back had said, you got such a rock star welcome there in Australia. Yes, absolutely.
At the boss comment.
Yes.
Let's go back to Shubhendu.
Yes, Shubhendu, you were talking about the Americans also towards the end of your answer. Just wanted to know whether you got the opportunity to speak to any average American. How is he perceiving the rock star welcome that Prime Minister gets every time? Absolutely. His event becomes a rock star concert in itself. So how does the average American view the rise of Indian Americans and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, if you could fill us in on that?
Right, Munmun, interestingly, more importantly, average American knows about India more in more details and in a more engaging fashion. They recognize who Prime Minister Narendra Modi is, even if they're not as interested or as engaged in international politics. The name seems to ring a bell for each one of them. In fact, a few days ago, I was engaging with some students of New York University, both Indian and American. And they said that there's so much excitement even in the campus that an Indian Prime Minister is coming. There is such a mega event that is being organized. It's America is one of the leading parts. Leaders from all across the world keep coming. But the kind of anticipation that is created when Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tour is planned is something they haven't seen. But they go a little deeper into the issue as well, because they talk about the issues that Prime Minister raises on global stage. They were referring to the United Nations Summit of the Future. And they also recognize the very significant leadership role that India is trying to play as far as the concerns of the global south is concerned. In a very nuanced way, Prime Minister has been able to underline that the adverse impacts of not meeting sustainable development goals, climate change crisis, impacts the nations of the global south. So when we talk about climate justice, India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi present a very strong voice, a voice which is clear, a voice which is very assertive, and a voice which is that of reason and which wishes for a better future, a sustainable future for everyone. But it does not shy away from calling spade a spade. So in that sense, all those elements, especially the youngsters, young American, they find it quite interesting that here's a leader who speaks his mind, at the same time speaks for the good of all.
Yes, Shubhendu, stay with us. We'll keep coming back to you because after all the action is where you are.